It was a cloudy and calm afternoon as Major Mike Freyholtz and his crew meticulously prepared to conduct a practice sortie for the upcoming Arctic Thunder Air Show at Joint Base Elmendorf, Richardson, Alaska. Freyholtz had flown C-17 cargo planes for more than 600 hours in Iraq and Afghanistan and was a daring pilot who studied every detail and was not afraid to push his aircraft to the absolute limits if it meant saving a fellow soldier's life. With such vast experience, that practice flight scheduled for July 28, 2010 seemed like a relatively straightforward affair. But no one could have guessed it was about to turn into a horrific tragedy. Footage taken by a staff member shows how the massive C-17 Globemaster airlifter, nicknamed Sitka 43, lifted off from the airstrip and then climbed for a few seconds before turning. Still, the cargo plane's turn was too sharp, and it suddenly started losing speed. The spectators on site then held their breath as the $202.3 million, 141-ton behemoth with 4 people on board stalled and plunged to the ground. The reliable C-17. The Boeing C-17 Globemaster III is one of the most reliable and safe aircraft in the U.S. military, and its extraordinary performance and ease of flight made it the backbone of the U.S. Air Force airlift capabilities. The military transport aircraft has been used in a wide array of operations across the globe, successfully supporting U.S. military efforts in some of the most dangerous war zones on the planet. It has also evacuated injured servicemen from Iraq, deployed paratroopers behind enemy lines, rescued civilians from Kabul, and landed under fire to deliver vital supplies to U.S. military troops. Amid such a long and successful career, not once had the mighty C-17 Globemaster suffered a catastrophic crash, but it would all change during a routine practice flight in 2010 at the Elmendorf Air Force Base in Alaska. A fateful day. The sortie, scheduled for July 28, 2010, was a rehearsal for a maximum performance climb demonstration that was meant to take place during the incoming Arctic Thunder Air Show from July 31st to August 1st. The plan entailed having the C-17 climb to 1,500 feet above the ground to initiate a reversal turn. The pilot, Major Mike Freyholtz, would then fly a safe distance away from the runway before performing a 260-degree reversal turn back towards the runway. The C-17 would then descend from 1,500 feet to 500 feet above the ground and accelerate to 250 knots to fly past the spectators gathered at the air show. That afternoon, the crew used operational risk management to evaluate the mission risk, which resulted in a caution warning based on the complexity of the maneuvers. Still, all crew members agreed that the flight was safe and thus prepared for the flight. Freyholtz, as commander and pilot, first flew around the base area to confirm that the wind and flight conditions were adequate for their practice run. The weather was accepted as being within the desired limits, and they then touched down and waited half an hour to begin the sortie. The pilot was described by one of his instructors as, quote, one of the most precise and exacting pilots in the Air Force, and one of the most talented and capable warriors of his generation. Going back to his days as a pilot in training, Freyholtz was known to prepare meticulously for each assignment. He would frequently split flights into segments, events, and contingencies, and recorded each in detail for further study. As a full-fledged pilot, he continued his remarkable service, logging over 600 flight hours while serving in Iraq and Afghanistan, and receiving numerous decorations for his exemplary performance and his constant yearning to go beyond the call of duty. However, unbeknownst to him, this fearless attitude might have resulted in the decision that would lead to a fatal accident. The accident. The flight would be carried out with a crew of 4: Freyholtz, pilot Alan Malone, Captain Jeffrey Hill, and Senior Master Sergeant Thomas E. Sicardo. At 6:22 p.m. local time, Freyholtz initiated a maximum power takeoff with a nose-high attitude of 40 degrees. All 4 engines were set to full thrust and remained as such throughout the flight. The C-17 Globemaster then leveled off at 850 feet above the ground level instead of the 1,500 feet required for the maneuver. Additionally, the sharp climb with a 40-degree nose-high attitude meant that the aircraft never achieved the minimum climb-out airspeed. The C-17's peak airspeed in the climb was 107 knots, and the planning required a speed of at least 133 knots. In short, they were flying too low and too slow. Back at the airbase, a serviceman recorded video of the maneuver, but not for a moment did he expect what was about to occur. Despite flying so low, Freyholtz decided to start the 260-degree reversal turn and banked left 57 degrees, then leveling off at 852 feet above ground level. The aircraft then reached a speed of 151 knots, and the co-pilot retracted the flaps according to procedure. The C-17 was stable during the 7 seconds it took to retract the flaps. Still, as the procedure finished, Freyholtz initiated an aggressive right turn. At that moment, the first officer began the slat retraction as they reached 188 knots. However, the minimum speed to safely achieve it was 193 knots. The stall warning sounded 5 seconds into the sharp turn. By then, the C-17's speed was 199 knots, 6 knots below stall speed. The cockpit's intercom system then started to blast. Stall. 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 Freyholtz's crew appeared to trust the pilot's decisions, and despite his better judgment, the co-pilot called out, quote, "Temperature, altitude, looking good." Freyholtz continued to turn, increasing the angle of bank 62 degrees. At that moment, the aircraft was not only beyond the 45-degree arc of bank recommended for the maneuver, but had also surpassed the 60-degree maximum allowable bank angle for the C-17. The aircraft then went into a minimal left roll, and the speed and attitude made recovery impossible. 2 seconds later, the C-17 crashed into a wooded area and was soon engulfed in a colossal fireball. Only 1 minute had elapsed since takeoff. The captain of the Anchorage Fire Department watched as a fireball rose 750 feet into the air. It was clear that there was no chance of survival. All 4 crew members on board the C-17 lost their lives. Aftermath. Despite being equipped with an angle of attack limiter system designed to protect the aircraft from a deep stall, the pilot's decisions were so sudden and significant that the system could not prevent the tragedy. The eventual investigation claimed that Freyholtz made a series of unfortunate decisions that did not reflect in any way the planning that had previously been agreed upon for the mission. Many analysts attribute such decisions to sloppiness or recklessness, but the airmen who knew Freyholtz believe he was once again trying to push his aircraft and training to the limit. The investigation ultimately deemed that the accident was caused by pilot error, and the airshow went on as a tribute to the 4 men aboard the C-17. Thank you for watching our video. Please let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And for more history-inspired stories, make sure to subscribe to all of our Dark Documentaries channels and hit the bell icon to be notified of all our new videos. Stay tuned.